Tell me what comes to mind when I say, tell me some of your proudest moments in life.
Yeah, I think when I graduated high school, I am the first person in my family to graduate high school. And I think that's one of my biggest accomplishments. And then my driver's license, and then graduating college. I didn't get my driver's license till I was 26. So that was like the end of my college years, pretty much. I never thought I would get a license because it was suspended before I actually got one. So I think those are my biggest three accomplishments: is graduating high school, college, and then getting my license, driver's license.
Oh, gotcha.
It's crazy, but
Well, your license got suspended before you even had one?
Yeah, because basically, like, I had gotten into an accident and I didn't have a license, so they suspended it. And so in
like
order for me to,
when you do get your license, it's like, or they just put it on, like, made the process.
basically, like, they suspended it, and like, so I had to pay a reinstatement fee. I actually wrote the judge a letter, a long letter. I was just like, I'm sorry. That was a time in my life when I was just careless, and she pulled it out of collections. Oh, sorry. She pulled it out of collections, and it was it was $1,500, and this judge lowered it to $240. There's a bug in here. Oh my god. I'm sorry. $240. This bug is bothering me.
Bugging you?
Yeah.
Kill that thing.
I know, right? She lowered it to $240, and I was so happy, And then so I went and took the practice test, and then I took the actual driver's test, and I told the guy my story too. And at the end, he's like, "Oh, Bianca, I don't know how long you said you didn't have a license, but you passed." And I literally cried. So I never thought I would get my license.
Why?
It was suspended before I got it, and then like my mom, she never drove my whole life, so I taught myself how to drive. I just didn't think I would ever get a license, ever. So it was big,
Yeah.
And that was the year that I became clean too. So good things started happening.
Nice. Well, let's back up.
Yeah, sorry, I'm skipping.
No, it's okay. No, my first question, that's where it went, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But tell me, where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, predominantly like West Seattle, like Berrien area. I went to elementary school there, middle school, and high school. I didn't go to a regular high school. Well, I went like to regular high school maybe my freshman year and sophomore year. And then in the middle of like sophomore year, I would say I transferred to an alternative school, but I got a regular high school diploma just like everybody else. But I just went to alternative school because my credits were really bad. Yeah. So I grew up in Berrien, had like two friends. I wasn't really like a big party person in high school. I just stuck with two people. I was always to myself. Did my homework.
Siblings? You have siblings growing up?
I do have siblings, yeah, but they're older than me. So I have, there's 9 of us. And I have 7 brothers, 1 sister, and that's 2 sets of twin brothers. And it's funny because they're all born in the 70s. And then 7, 8, 9, I'm number 7. 7, 8, 9, we're born in the 90s. So my brothers are much older than me. But, I mean, we all get along, but yeah, it's crazy. They're much older. So I grew up with like my little brother and my sister pretty much. Yeah.
I was gonna say, what was like the energy of the house growing up?
So I was actually adopted by my aunt, but my aunt and my real mother always they always stayed by each other. So luckily I was, blessed to know my family and know who they were. So I did grow up with my little brother and sister, but we just didn't grow up in the same house pretty much. Yeah. But we're still close to this day. It's just we didn't grow up in the same house. So with me and my aunt, it was just me and her all the time. Like I was pretty much an only child, because she adopted me.
Yeah, it was just you and your aunt.
Pretty much, yeah. But to me, she's my mother because in my heart, she raised me. So I don't call her aunt; I call her mom.
What age?
I got adopted at 6 years old, but I've been with her since I was 3 days old. So to me, that's my mom. And she raised me. And I feel like if I was raised by my biological mother, a lot of things would have been different in my life. So I'm glad it turned out to be the way it was,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, those are healthy perspectives.
Yeah.
To be like, hey.
Yeah, because she's a good role model. She was a teacher for 21 years. She doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, and she's like almost 70. It does not even look like it,
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I love her. She's really good. Shout out to my mom. Yeah.
And your dad, you around?
My dad, I guess he passed away like before I was born. I don't know him. I had never seen a picture of my dad, anything like that. So it's a sad story.
Never seen a picture.
Never even seen a picture. I only know his name. And his name, I got that from my biological mother's friend. Like, she doesn't talk about him. She doesn't want to talk about him. All I know is that he passed away from a heroin overdose. So it's kind of sad. I wish I got to know my dad a little bit more, but you know, things happen.
Well, let's see. After high school, I don't know, let's see, 17, 18, what's going on in your life?
Yeah, so 17, 18, I got my first job at KSC and A&W in White Center. That was my first job. And I was getting ready to graduate high school as well. In 2010, I graduated. I was supposed to graduate in 2009, but like I said, I was a year late because of my credits. So 17, 18, I was working. I was working a job and trying to graduate high school, and I did both. So that was around the time I was just making my own money and, you know, learning how to save, learning how to manage money, and having the responsibility of having a job, you know, and juggling school. So it kept me busy, you know, but I like that, you know, work ethic, pretty much. Having home life, school life, and work. It was something I like to do. Keep me busy. Yeah, exactly. So around that time, I was actually, doing really good, you know? Yeah.
Well, let's keep going. In your 20s, what's happening
20s,
in your 20s?
Yeah, so 20s, 21, I was still had a job. I wasn't working at KFC though. I went to Costco. I was working at Costco till I was about 24. I worked there for 4 years, the one in Seattle. I worked my way up. I used to give out the samples and then work my way up to like the cashier. And I quit that job, which I regret because it was good benefits, you know, but I quit that job. And then 25, 24, and mind you, I still have the same friends that I had in high school.
And living on your own or with your aunt?
No, living with my aunt. I'll get there in a minute. But so living with my aunt. And then one of the friends that because I had 3 good friends in high school, and we all kind of split and went our separate ways. I would say about 21, 22. So it was 2 boys and 2 of us girls. And I went with one of the boys and the other girl went with the other guy, whatever. Not as far as like dating, but friendship wise. Yeah, we kind of just all split apart. So the guy that I went with, he is the one that I basically like introduced me to, you know, opiates. Mm-hmm. And that's when I would say about 25, 26 is when I started doing the Percocets. But they were the real ones, not the ones that are on the street now. I still see him to this day. It's crazy, you know. And if I could just rewind time, you know, if I could really take that moment back. Because my friend, she told me, don't smoke that stuff in my bathroom, you know, and we were still doing it. And he wanted to show me so bad that you could smoke a pill on foil, you know, and I just wish I could take that back, you know, that moment.
Let's go, like, if you could look back at yourself then, I mean, my guess is curiosity, intrigue, like, what is this going to feel like?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, see, the funny story is I used to pop them.
Okay,
you know,
so
we pop them every now and then. You know, it wasn't nothing like every day.
Just recreational for fun.
Exactly, because I was working, I was going to school. It was just for, you know, popping them. We were all doing that. But when we started smoking them, they become more addictive. So gotcha. That's when I started to realize, okay, wait, it's not like every weekend. Now I'm starting to wake up and I'm craving it, you know? So it got to be to the point where I needed it every day. I was still working. I think at this time I was working at Ross. And I would go to work high and stuff like that. Still juggling. I've never been homeless. I've always kept a job. So I've been a functional addict. But I feel like it's harder to be a functional addict than it is to be an addict, if that makes sense, because you have to hide it. You know, you have to go to work and pretend like everything's okay, and versus, you know, somebody who just is right here and doesn't have to do that. They can just be free with their addiction. But me, I had to put this, exactly. I had to put this smile on and, you know, happy face and still go to work and act like everything's okay when deep down inside it's not.
Which takes, you know, you got to manage those feelings of guilt and shame.
And
constant.
And juggle it.
takes more work, right?
Exactly. And then like, so, cause I used to work for Catholic Community Services. I don't know if you know what that is, but, basically I worked at a shelter and like with people that, you know, drugs and, you know, homelessness and all that, you know, and, clients would like, you know, think I'm judging them or something like that, think that I'm uppity, and I get it all the time, you know, that I'm stuck up or that this, that, and the third. It's like, you know, you're judging me. You don't even know. Little do you know, I have an addiction too. Right. You know, I can't tell them that because lo and behold, I'm at my job. So, you know, it's like, I might not be homeless. I have somewhere to live, but I'm also juggling things too. You know, just because you think that I have it all, I don't, you know, so working there, it really taught me about judging people, you know, because they were judging me, you know, and I don't feel like you can get the job if you don't really know how to work with people that in that caliber, if that makes sense, you know. You know, just because you went to college doesn't mean that you classify it to work with these kind of people. You have to really, really be a special kind of person to be around that type of people, you know. You can't be uppity from the valley working at like places like that.
Yeah, I think there's a piece of, you know, like we were talking earlier, of just, you don't come to a place of like, I really don't know this person. And
exactly.
Until I talk to them, I'm not going to judge them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to accept them off where they're at and who they are right here and right now.
Yeah.
And throw all the stigmas, at least try, out the window and
exactly.
take some work. Take some work.
Exactly. And like this girl, I got in an argument with her like a couple weeks ago. She was telling me like privilege and I'm whitewashed and all these names. And I'm just like, you know, you don't know anything about me. You don't know my story. You're just judging me by the way I look. You know, like little do you know, I've been through a lot, you know, in my whole life, I've been through a lot, and people, I don't have to explain that to people. It's my business, but it's like, it's so crazy how people just judge people. Yeah. Looks are deceiving, you know, and it's just because I, you know, look like this doesn't mean on the inside I feel like that, you know, because I was the ugly duckling, you know, growing up. I didn't have a boyfriend till my 20s, you know, and all the guys in high school that wouldn't even look my way. Now when they see me, they're like, oh, what's up? But me, I'm like, oh no, because you didn't want me back then. Now you do. You know, so it's just like people really do judge you by the way you look, by the way you carry yourself. And I get it, you know, it's human nature, but I just feel like they should take a chance just a little bit just to get to know that person before they have this preconceived notion about them, you know?
Yeah. Ideal, yeah.
That's just my opinion. And my opinion isn't valid. I'm just saying what, you know?
Your opinion is valid.
It's valid, sure. But it's not like what I say goes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just what I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all.
Well, let's see. Well, you're working at Ross.
Yes.
Or then you
working at Ross,
Catholic Community
and then
Services?
after that, I went to, so after Ross, I went to Catholic Community Services. But between that time, I kind of took a break for 2 years off, like just, you know, doing nothing pretty much from working. I just didn't want to work anymore. I was just tired. And then I worked for Catholic Community Services all through the pandemic, all through, you know, after that, because like the whole staff quit. There was only 3 of us. There was somebody in the morning, me in the afternoon, and somebody at night. They all said that they got COVID, you know, and I didn't get COVID. And I didn't want to leave the people like that, you know what I mean? Like those clients needed, you know, they needed somewhere to stay. So they actually ended up moving all the clients to a hotel, which was a Holiday Inn that they called a shelter. So working at the hotel, it was a little scary working there, you know, because I would be in the room, you know, at night, and they would come up for tissue or like, you know, toiletries, snacks, stuff like that, stuff that they needed for their room. But me being a female, it's predominantly men there. So I think it was like 25 men, 10 women. So it was kind of scary working there, you know, just being myself. Nothing happened that was bad or whatever, but it was just scary being there alone.
Yeah, you didn't feel the safest.
Yeah, exactly. Especially being in a hotel, it's more intimate, you know.
Yeah.
So I kind of got transferred to a more of a open shelter. It was kind of still the same hotel vibe, but it was more me with somebody else, always working with like a man, or because the woman would always be with the man employee, you know, and then the man employee would always be with a woman. Yeah, so it was more comfortable for me. And I worked there for 3 years, and now I'm not working. So that was my last job. And if I do go back to work, I still want to be in the same field, you know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, if you're open, like the addiction.
Yes, we can talk about that.
Still happening, like.
Yeah. So.
Where was that? Or where
Yeah.
is that?
So my addiction. So it started off as Percocets. Like I said, I used to pop them and swallow them, and then after that, I got introduced to smoking them, and then those went away. You know, they didn't have Percocets anymore. They had like these blues, is what they call them, and those are like the fake Percocets. And then like those weren't getting me high anymore. So then I moved to fentanyl powder, and that's what I like now. And I don't wish that on anybody, you know. And luckily, I've never OD'd. I've never, you know, I can't say I don't nod out, because I do, but I don't nod out outside. I do it in the comfort of my home. And, you know, that's what you're going for when you do that stuff. You know, everybody thinks you're overdosing or something like that because they see people slumped over outside. Well, those people are sleep deprived. They don't get sleep. They don't have a proper bed to sleep in at night. So, of course, they're going to do that when they take a hit of fentanyl. They're going to be, you know, bending over to the front, touching their toes, whether they're a guy or a girl. You know, so basically my point is not everybody gets like that. So, you know, have I nodded out before? Of course. But I'm functional, I guess. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm better than anybody. But I do feel like I am doing better as far as, because I don't do foil either. I dab it. I don't know if you know what that means. Yeah, so dabbing is just like, I feel like foil. When I have it in my hand, it's like, I feel, because I used to do foil. And now I just feel like I get paranoid, and, you know, if somebody sees you with that, they just think of you as a crackhead or less than a person. So I try not to.
Comes with more stigma.
Exactly, yeah. So, and it's like you can't really do it out in the open in public. You can, but it's just not a good look, for me at least. So dabbing, it's kind of like, it's legal. You can dab weed oil. You can buy the dabbing supplies at the weed dispensary. So when the police see that, or anybody else, it's like normal, you know? They don't know what I'm dabbing.
Like in a vape kind of thing?
No, but you can do it that way. But no, I'm not speaking of, I don't know if I should pull it out, but
no, it's okay.
Yeah, I could show you afterwards. But yeah, you just have like a silicone container in your dabber. You just get it hot, and it's easier that way. And I feel like it's more classier, you know? So, because, you know, obviously you have to do your, you know, your thing, your drug of choice outside, but it's just more of a better, classier way to do it than to do it with the foil.
Yeah.
Because it's like, as soon as somebody sees that, they just think of you less than a person. They think that you're just dumb, retarded on drugs, and they just don't even look at you the way that, you know, that you should be looked at as a person.
Yeah.
Long story short, I don't have a criminal record. I've never been in jail a day in my life. Thank God. But I went to Home Depot and I stole a torch, pretty much. Allegedly, I took a torch. Let me say that. And the undercovers wanted to check my bag, and I said, no, you not check my bag. I don't call the police, do what you want. And I casually walked off. So I went to go smoke in like a cut, maybe in the woods. That's what a cut means. And for like 10 minutes, you know. And so I got the wrong torch, allegedly. It was the wrong torch. I threw it. So I'm walking down Aurora, and I passed the cop car. I didn't think anything of it because I thought they were pulling somebody over. They're behind a car. I get to the end of the cop car at the back, and she gets out and says, oh, you fit the description of someone who, you know, stole at Home Depot. I said, oh, well, check all my things. I don't have anything, you know. So then another cop rolls up, and he's like, I need to check your ID. He's being really aggressive. I'm like, wait, you know, why are you being so aggressive? She's not being aggressive. Why are you doing that? She didn't even find anything on me. And he takes my ID, he goes to the Home Depot, comes back 5 minutes later, and tells me, you know, basically like, oh, this is the girl that they, you know, caught. So they're searching me, put me in handcuffs. I go in the cop car, and I'm like, I don't want to go to jail. I said, I've never been in jail a day in my life. I have no record. Please, you guys didn't find anything on me. Why are you guys taking me? And basically, you know, she's like, oh, it's okay. You'll get out tomorrow. Today's a Wednesday. And I'm like, what? So I was just so freaking upset. You know, I wanted to call my mom to bail me out, like, but I knew she would be, you know, dramatic. So, you know, I just didn't know what to do. Anyway, so I get to the precinct, and the sergeant comes in. I tell him the story, and I said, I just want to go home. You know, when can I go home? He's like, oh, you can go home in the next 30 minutes. I said, what? Well, what are you guys charging me with? You know, because you didn't find anything. He's like, well, they felt threatened by you. And I said, 3 big, huge men felt threatened by 1 woman? You know, that makes no sense. Like, you know, so they let me go. But I feel like if they would have, because she did search my things, but since I dabbed, they let me keep all my things, you know. I feel like if there was foil that they seen, they would have treated me differently. They would have, like, you know, not let me go. And, you know, here it is a year later, and they didn't even send me a subpoena in the mail. I didn't get charged with anything. They let me go.
Yeah, there's no.
But had it been the foil, had it been the fentanyl that they seen on foil, it wouldn't have been the same. You know, it wouldn't have been the same. So, I guess I say that to say this, that, you know, I like that I dabbed now because, you know, it's just way more discreet. She was looking at it. I looked at her when she looked at it, but I didn't have anything in there. I didn't, you know, I just had my tools with me, but I didn't have any fentanyl actually in the container. So I just feel like it's just a way better look.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that works for you, which is
correct.
Totally fine. Which is great. To each his own. Like, I care less. Well, where are you living now?
So now I live, so I live with my mom up until about a year and a half ago. I just got my own apartment. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to move out when I was ready. I didn't want to move in with friends because I've heard so many crazy stories, you know, where it doesn't work out. You know, so I wanted to move out when I was ready. And we lived in Federal Way. And so I moved out, got my own apartment. I actually love my apartment. It's beautiful.
Your apartment's in Federal Way?
No, my apartment's in Greenwood, up the street, but I lived in Federal Way. That's where I came from. My mom, she had to move out of the apartment because we had a 2-bedroom together, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And I moved out, moved to Greenwood, got my own place, and I'm the first person in my unit. It's a brand new building, rooftop view and some more. Nobody's ever lived in the unit, so yeah, it's just my biggest, that's another accomplishment I'm happy for, is getting my own apartment.
Great.
You know, and she had to move out, get her a 1-bedroom. I do go see her from time to time. We spent New Year's together and stuff, but it's different now, you know, now that I have my own place versus me living with her my whole life. Yeah. You know, it's like I can go home when I want to, and
there's a lot of freedom to moving out of your parents' home.
Yes, exactly. Sure. And not that she didn't give me my privacy, because she did.
Well, yes,
you know, it's just different. It's really different,
yeah.
You know, and I know she misses me because she calls me. She's the one who got the phone nonstop, and you know, she's making sure that I'm doing everything. When I first, like the first 6 months, she was just like, "Hey, so you paid your rent on time?" You know, like she's acting like I'm like 12, but that's just moms, you know.
You're the child.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's always that motherly, parental caregiver.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
And she never ever kicked me out either, you know. And me and her, we don't talk about my addiction. I mean, I'm sure she knows, but we don't. It's just something that we don't talk about, you know. And I don't do it in front of her. I don't even smoke a cigarette in front of her because I just have that respect for her, you know. I can't, you know. But I'm sure she knows. You know, because she'll make little comments, "Oh, you're losing weight," or, you know, like, "Are you eating healthy?" and stuff like that, drinking lots of water and stuff, you know. So she knows. And then, like, with her sister, which is my biological mother, having addiction issues, she knows it's kind of like a generational curse, I could say, you know. So when I talk to my sister about these things, she'll be talking to my biological mom about me, and she'll ask, "Oh, you know, how's Bianca doing? And is she clean?" and stuff like that. So they talk about it. So then my biological mom will tell my mom, "Oh yeah, Bianca's not clean," and then my mom just don't believe it. You know, she doesn't believe it. And I just think that's so mean of her. And she just has something against me, my real mom. I don't know why, but whatever. Anyway, that's another story for another day. But yeah, I don't do that in front of my mom. So I have that respect for her, you know.
Well, let's see. I just met you at the Commons. How long have you been coming to the Commons?
I've been coming to the Commons, I would say for like, maybe like 7 months. Like I would just drop in, you know, get coffee, say hi to everybody I know here. But recently I just started coming to the Women's Night. Yeah. I've been there about like 4 or 5 times, and then like, I actually got help from them last month. You know, Mary helped me, and I was so blessed for her to help me, you know. She's a really nice person. So there's really nice people here, you know. I've heard so many good things about it, so I wanted to check out myself.
Tell me more about the Women's Night. Why did you come?
Yeah, so my friend told me about Women's Night. She said that there was pizza, you could charge your phone, you could chill, you could talk to other women that, you know, kind of relate to you and your story and what you've been through and what you're going through. And I like to do that because it's hard to talk to somebody who hasn't been through what you've been through, you know. somebody who can't relate to you. It's easier for me to talk to somebody who knows what I'm talking about. As far as addiction goes, and like I said, I've been clean once for a whole year, and then I relapsed. So it's easier for me to talk to somebody who's been through that stuff, you know, rather than somebody who's never ever been through it. So I feel like there's women there that can relate to me. That's why. And it's just a chill, comfortable place. I feel like, you know, I fit in here a lot. So that's why I like Women's Night.
Yeah, you kind of found your people.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's see. Are you working?
No, I'm currently not working.
Okay.
I am unemployed.
Gotcha. Been there, done that.
Yeah. I'm taking a break, and then when I do go back to work, I want to be clean and sober.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's hard to juggle a job and have an addiction.
Yeah.
I've done it, but it's hard.
Right?
You know, like I said, it's harder being a functional addict than it is to not. So, no, I'm not working, but I would love to go back. I just want to get myself together.
Yeah.
So I think I'm taking a mental break right now, physical and mental break from working. But I do love working. It keeps my mind busy, and that's how I cope with my depression is working, staying busy. Yeah, because it's like when I do end up being clean, I have to find some type of hobby, you know, that I like to keep my mind busy, which is working. So
yeah, well, I mean,
I think I'm gonna learn Spanish too. I'm thinking about learning a second language.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Very useful, especially here. Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
A question I like to ask as we conclude, Bianca, is there anything that you want the people of Seattle to know?
Yeah, I just want people to Seattle to know that like people with addictions come in all different colors, sizes, shapes. You know, not everybody with an addiction is homeless. Not everybody with an addiction, wants to have an addiction. You know, nobody asked for this. You know, and people think that you could just turn it on and off like that. And if it was that easy, it wouldn't be an addiction, right? So I just feel like people should take the time to get to know someone before they just judge. And that is people like me or somebody standing right there on the street with a sign. Because they weren't born like that. You know what I'm saying? People choose to go through things and people make choices that lead them to the way they are in life right now. You know, and it's never too late to turn your life around. So I just feel like, don't think that person is like, they're less than a person because of what they're going through, you know? And I feel like the only way out is the way through. So maybe that person has to go through it to get to it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, there's this piece of like, when you're ready, Bianca, you'll make those decisions to do what you need to do. Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
And you know when you're ready, because you're ready in your heart and in your mind.
Yeah.
And I've done it before, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's this piece of, everyone kind of wants like, I want you to do this, but it's like, we have to understand like, people have their own autonomy. Yeah. And their own choices and freedoms and all that stuff when they're ready, Exactly. And of course there's an element of like, you're presented with these choices depending on lots of factors. Yeah. But it's like, when you're ready. Exactly. It's up to you. Not me. Exactly. Not everyone watching this. Yeah. Bianca, it's up to you.
Like, somebody could tell you till you're blue in the face, but it takes you to get up and do something about it, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, pretty much. Yeah. That's what I think.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
And do you have to edit these too?
I do.